The dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina, whose main goals are not only reconciliation and creating a functional Kosovo, but also contributing to regional stability and prosperity, has recently entered its 12th year. Besides being a highly sensitive issue, one of the main reasons for such a long-lasting undertaking is that the leadership of both sides look at the dialogue as an imposed process rather than as an instrument for bringing prosperity to their citizens. This process, marked by numerous setbacks, has produced a few dozen agreements regulating a wide array of issues. Both sides have been repeatedly delaying the implementation of these agreements. The Serbian government's procrastination has been motivated by the overwhelming rejection of the recognition of Kosovo's independence by the Serbian public, as well as by the belief that time can be bought due to Western powers' perception that the Vučić regime, having nationalistic credentials and a strong grip on power, is indispensable for bringing the normalization process to its conclusion. Similarly, the Kosovo government's position has been influenced by the dominant public perception that after being recognized by more than 100 countries, dialogue is unnecessary. In addition, since Albin Kurti, who built his political career on opposing dialogue with Serbia, became prime minister, the Kosovo government has adopted a rather inflexible approach marked by the belief that sole precondition for resolving pending issues is mutual recognition. Thus, the political interest of both Serbian and Kosovar political elites for delaying the process has overlapped, particularly as historic legacy, not genuine citizens' interests, seem to be the main driving force of both leaders, Vučić and Kurti. Despite all the setbacks and delays in the implementation of agreed issues, the dialogue, particularly after the signing of the Brussels Agreement in 2013, has resulted in normalization of bilateral relations and unblocking of the EU accession process. The dialogue has also contributed to creating new regional cooperation mechanisms, such as the Berlin process. Rather unexpectedly, the war in Ukraine and tectonic geopolitical shifts this work has caused, combined with clear incentives coming from the EU, could possibly open up a space for reaching the final solution.
The Belgrade-Pristina dialogue is an important tool, not only to normalize the relations between Serbia and Kosovo, but also to advance their EU integration. The process itself, however, leads nowhere at its current form. Instead of new agreements and instead of getting closer to a final, mutually acceptable and legally binding agreement, we witness constant bickering and political feuds. The EU and its local representatives seem unable to move the integration process as well as the normalization talks forward. We must thus redefine the frameworks of the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue. The EU must do better at being a better facilitator or mediator of this process. On the other hand, local politicians from Belgrade and Pristina must put the real interest of the citizens to the forefront. Instead of highly political topics and highly politicized topics, they also need to put the emphasis on the interest of their citizens, topics of economic interest that can make a difference in their everyday lives. Keeping the current status quo is the worst scenario possible also for the Western Balkans and also for Belgrade and Pristina.
Regarding the conclusion of Serbia-Kosovo's negotiations in the near future, I don't see it coming really soon, because there is one essential problem, and that is that the circumstances surrounding the dialogue did not change. I think that for this it is essential to focus, instead of normalization between the elites, on normalization between societies, and above all on the change of media discourse and public discourse in both societies about the other side. Right now, I think that it is still prevalent that societies observe the other side as an enemy and not as a potential partner and friend. In that regard, and I think it is essential for the European future of both Belgrade and Pristina. But when we are talking about the European future, I also think that without a successful conclusion of the dialogue and normalization between Belgrade and Pristina, that there will be no real European future for both sides. Simply put, the EU will not allow new members that have unresolved territorial disputes, and on the other hand, it is also a must to have a working, good relationship between Belgrade and Pristina in the near future, because without that, within the EU ranks, it could create only problems.
Belgrade and Pristina negotiations are stalled at the moment and have been stalled for a couple of years already. The way out from this stall seems to be resting with the 5 EU non-recognizers, and more specifically 4 of them, which are also members of the NATO: Slovakia, Romania, Spain, and Greece. These countries could help to facilitate cooperation between Kosovo and NATO, for example, granting Partnership for Peace status, for which recognition of independence is not necessary. The reason for this broad, deeper cooperation is that the current status quo favors Serbia, because it gives Serbia kind of a veto power over Kosovo in deepening its relations with international community. It also gives Serbia opportunity to pursue its anti-recognition campaign around the world. Deeper cooperation between Kosovo and NATO would help to overcome this leverage that Serbia at the moment has over Kosovo.